About 17 years ago, and that is the year 2008, yes. I was a fourth, fifth year student at the University of Nairobi, studying to become an engineer. And during that time, a seed had been planted. And some of these things that we get into, a seed got planted into me, and that seed, by the help of a few others, was nurtured to become what AYLF is right now. And when I look at what has happened at this point, and when I look at you guys seated in this room, and being part of this AYLF in MKU, it humbles my heart that a little effort that was started in 2008 has led into a space where you guys come and want to learn from each other. Now, AYLF is present in about 64 other campuses across the country. And again, it is also present in about 7 countries across the region. So you guys are a part of a movement that is beyond just what is happening here. And that for me is very special. When I see the power of an idea, how that can grow into something that yourself, you can't even comprehend. Now back then, I had no idea what this would turn out to be. But what happened is I made myself available. I showed up. And I did my best to show up the best way I could. And I had a few people around me who believed so much in what was happening that they decided to continue to be part of the journey. Now, some of those are still part of the journey. Some of them have since moved on. But that has been the story that we've walked of Africa Youth Leadership Forum. And I'm so grateful to God that I find myself being part of this amazing journey that is transforming many lives of young people. Now, today as I was thinking about our time together, I love conversations around leadership. I love conversations around individuals, around transformation. I love conversation around young people. And I love conversation around social impact. And those are things that make me come alive. And as I was thinking about this time today, I was like, what thoughts can I share? And allow me to just share a few thoughts, reflections really. I've had some time reflecting over a statement that I'm going to make and hopefully resonates with you. A statement that I choose to call honesty over accuracy. I don't know, when you hear honesty over accuracy, I don't know what comes to your mind. Many times we tell people, be honest, please be honest with me. And when someone tells us, I'm very honest, we start doubting whether, are they really honest? Because when they announce that I'll be very honest with you, you start doubting whether they're really honest. But all we desire is we are happy when we can honestly engage with someone. When someone talks about accuracy, I don't know what comes to your mind. And so that has been a reflection I've had in the past few days. Honesty over accuracy. As a leader to yourself and as you lead others. Because there are people who watch you. There are people who day by day, they are trying to learn from you. As I've watched AYLF grow, I've got so many people who I believe are looking up to me. So many people call me their mentor. So many people come to me and ask me questions. How did this happen? How do you go about this? And sometimes I don't have answers to those questions. Sometimes all I do is just share my experiences. And my experiences might not even answer their questions, but they are my experiences. We live in a world that is obsessed with getting things right. And everybody wants to get something right. Right answers, right appearances, right performances. But leadership isn't just about being right. Leadership is about being real. And for me, that has been my greatest lesson, to be real, to be authentic. And I remember once talking to some guys and I asked them, so who do you respect? And I was talking, so we do a lot of small group conversations. So we had this one small group conversation in town, and I had asked some guys, hey, who do you respect? And the guy said, I respect whoever makes sense to me. And of course, I asked Father, what does that mean? And what stood out is most people would respect someone who is authentic and real. I don't know about you, but does that make sense? Does that make sense? That most people would expect someone who is authentic and real, as opposed to someone who is just coming to show up the right feet forward, the right performance, showing you the right things. I believe, as I listened in this conversation, that most people would really be very quick to respect someone who is real and who is authentic. Accuracy comes from the head, but honesty comes from the heart. And leadership at its best always begins from the heart. The best leaders are those who are inspired from their hearts, not those who just lead because of facts and information they have, but those who really, their leadership is emanating from the convictions they have in their hearts. Those are the people who emerge as the best leaders. Accuracy speaks to your performance, but honesty speaks to your character. This is something we really emphasize. There's not been a lot of talk around this honesty over accuracy much. And of course, when you go to a lot of leadership conversations, all you're told is show up right, put up the best feet forward, do this, do that, let people respect you when you show up. And all that is good. But at the end of the day, that might open an opportunity for you. But what might keep you relevant is how honest are you as an individual. The principle, this honesty is a principle that separates performers from true leaders. And it's important to ask yourself, are you a performer or are you a true leader? As leaders, we are not just called to be perfect. First, we need to be truthful with ourselves, truthful with those we serve, and that's honesty. And honesty is easier said than done. I said accuracy means giving the correct responses. Honesty means giving the truthful one, even when uncomfortable or incomplete. So an accurate person would say, I did everything correctly. I ticked all the boxes. I was told I go to school, and when I finish school, I'll get a job. So I ticked all the boxes. You're very accurate. You did all that. And nobody will blame you for that. You did your part. So you ticked all the boxes. An honest person will say, I did my best, but I made some mistakes. That's someone who is willing to admit, I'm human. I'm human. Accuracy seeks to protect their image. Those who are accurate, they want to protect an image. But honest people seek to protect integrity. Now, I'm not downplaying the image piece. But what I'm saying is, at the end of the day, integrity matters. Accuracy may win you applause, but honesty earns you trust. And in my leadership journey leading Africa Youth Leadership Forum, I've learned that I'd rather be trusted than being applauded. I'd rather that I walk in a room and people trust me and that my word means something than walking in a room and people clap for you, people cheer you up, and then whatever you said, they're just like, huyu anaongeanga tu hivyo, wacha story zake ziishe na yeye. People don't need leaders who look perfect. They need leaders who are authentic, who admit faults, who learn openly, and who stand by their values. And I've struggled with this. These are lessons I've struggled with. So these are my reflections. They might resonate with you, they might not. But I do a lot of journaling. So these are my reflections over sometimes that I sit down and journal. Honesty builds trust. Trust is the foundation of every relationship. And all of us want to be told, I trust you. Anybody here has ever been told, I don't trust you? And the first thing they did was celebrate. Someone told you, I don't trust you. And the first thing you did was to celebrate how you are not trusted. The people I know, the minute you were told I don't trust you, it broke your heart. And you felt so bad. Even if it came from someone maybe you had just interacted with for a second, and they told you, I don't trust you. It broke your heart. Now imagine if it comes from a long-term relationship. I've been married for 14 years. And the worst thing ever, one day I hope never comes up, is my wife to stand up and say, Gabriel, I don't trust you. I don't know what that will do to me, but it will break my heart. So all of us desire to be in a space where we are trusted. In our leadership, in our friendship, and in our life. Accuracy is about giving the right answers. Honesty is about giving the true answers. Your followers don't need a perfect image. They need an authentic person. Someone who can say, I don't have all the answers, but I'll let you know, I'll tell you the truth. And at some point when you feel like you don't have all the answers, all you can say is the truth that you know. And don't look like you have to figure it all together. When AYLF started, we didn't seek to figure everything together. To be honest, we just had our full legitimate registration of Africa Youth Leadership Forum in Kenya in 2023. So after operating from 2008 with no registration, but we had a bank account, which was opened on a basis of trust. Someone knew about AYLF and trusted what we were doing, and he was a bank manager, and he made a decision and said, you guys, we love what you're doing. Universities need to send you money. They can't be sending money to Gabriel's phone number because that doesn't make sense so much. So what we're going to do is we're going to set up an account for you. And it was set up. I don't know where else can open an account without documents, but an account was set up in a bank with no document. But it was set up based on trust, because it's a trusted relationship. So trust is a very important thing, and it comes in a space where there's honesty. One of the leadership icons that is celebrated is Nelson Mandela. And some of you know about him. He was the first black president in South Africa in 1994. Some people like him, others don't like him. He was human. All of us are human, and we have all our faults. And of course, he came into power when the country was very divided. Everyone expected him to have all the answers because the country was very divided. The country was at a mess. And he was the first black president that country was experiencing, you can imagine. And so everybody expected answers from this guy. But the guy did not pretend. And he once said, I am not a saint unless you think of a saint as a sinner who keeps on trying. That was an honest response, not a perfect response, not exactly what some of the people were expecting from him. When some of his early decisions faced criticism, he listened. He admitted what hadn't worked, and he adjusted. That honesty did not make him look weak, it made people trust him more. He showed that leadership isn't about pretending to be flawless, it's about having the courage to be transparent. Honesty builds bridges, accuracy alone can build walls. I don't know whether that makes sense. That honesty builds a bridge, but accuracy alone will build a wall. Some of you who read the scripture knows about this gentleman called David. If you read the Bible, David was confronted by a prophet Nathan after he did this unthinkable act. And when he was confronted, for those of you who read the scriptures, the Bible, you know the response to that. He admitted his fault. At that moment, honesty became his moment of restoration when he admitted that. Some of us know Wangari Maathai, the professor who won the first one to win the Nobel Peace Prize. She started the Green Belt movement in 1970s. And of course, she wanted to plant trees. And people thought, why trees? Trees has nothing to do with the economic situation of this country. Why trees? It didn't sound correct to other people. It didn't sound like the right solution. It didn't sound like a data well-researched economic solution to the problem of the day. It sounded like some random idea that maybe doesn't need to be followed through. But here's her response. I'm simply responding to what I see. The land is drying, the rivers are drying, and we must act. Her truth was simple, honest, and grounded in observation, not fancy statistics. And sometimes the thing that you need to get starting, that thing that you need to get started, sometimes we waste so much time looking for fancy statistics to justify why we should do it, when maybe you just need to respond to what you're seeing. What is the gap that you're seeing that you just need to respond to? Don't wait for statistics to align. Don't wait for everything to fall into place. Just respond. And that could be just go to your neighborhood and start talking to some people about something. And as you go on, that honesty of Wangari Maathai sparked a global environmental movement. And again, sometimes being accurate limits you to the facts of the moment. Sometimes looking to be accurate, gather everything correct, will not get you to appreciate the facts of the moment. And so what you need to do to be honest, because being honest will open you to the possibilities of what can be if you're honest. Before you can be honest with others, you must be first honest with yourself. Leadership starts with being honest with yourself. It's easy to wear masks, confident when you're afraid, strong when you're tired, holy when you're struggling. Self-honesty is the hardest form of courage. To be honest with yourself is the hardest form of courage. To look yourself in the mirror and be honest with what you see. That's courage. Do you agree with me? Ask yourself, am I leading to serve or to be seen? Do I admit when I don't know something? When was the last time you admitted when you didn't know something? And you just admitted, honestly, I have no idea to do in this situation. And especially when you're a leader, the temptation is to pretend that you know it. And at the end of the day, mislead people when you have no idea what you're talking about. So, admitting when you don't know something is a strength in itself. Am I pretending everything is fine when I'm actually struggling? Could you be pretending that everything is fine when you're actually struggling inside of you? Please do not pretend, because it will break you. It will not help you. Many emerging leaders feel pressured to look confident, perfect all the time, but pretending only isolates you. The more you pretend, the more you get isolated. Do you agree with me? Am I making sense? The more you pretend that you have it all figured out together, the more you get isolated. Nobody will authentically connect with you. When you are honest with yourself, you grow faster, you connect deeper, you lead better. That's where true leadership begins. When you're honest with yourself, you grow faster, you connect deeper, and you lead better. And that's where true leadership begins. True leadership does not begin by looking to be perfect. It begins by seeking to be honest with yourself, and that's where it starts. You cannot lead others faithfully if you cannot face your own truth courageously. You can't lead others faithfully if you cannot face your own truths. And you know your own truths. You know. You're the one who knows in the morning the struggles you have. You're the one who knows in the evening some of the regrets you have. Is that true? And nobody might know those for you. Nobody might tell you, but you're the one who knows. And until you face those courageously, the truths that you know, then you might not lead others well. The former Prime Minister of New Zealand, a lady called Jacinda Ardern, was a very vulnerable lady. And recently, as I was preparing for this, I was just reading a little bit about her. And she's committed herself to something she's calling rehumanizing global politics. Because politics have gotten very inhuman. And politics has been perceived in a particular way that if you are someone who is true and honest and all this, you can't play politics. So you have to be this character that pretends to be something else. That's when you survive politics. And for those of you who are seeking to get into politics, poleni sana. Because I don't know how you're going to manage. Because in politics, survive when you're honest is not easy. But I know there are few honest individuals who are trying to navigate this politics. So this lady, during COVID-19 pandemic, just the other day, she stood up in front of the citizens. And as a prime minister, she admitted, I don't have all the answers, but I promise to tell you everything I know. I'd rather someone assures me that. I'd rather someone tells me, Gabriel, I don't have all your answers, but I promise that I'll tell you everything that I know. Rather than someone coming up, I've ever sat down with someone and realized this guy is just telling me stuff. Like, guy, this huyu jamaa ni panga tu. Hapa ni uongo one after another. Yet, at the end of the day, you listen to such a person, you leave empty and you can't trust them. Vulnerability builds trust. So later when this lady, she's still young, she resigned from office. Here's what she said, which I don't think many leaders would admit. She said this, I no longer have enough in the tank to do the job justice. She felt like she had given it enough. And she felt like I no longer have anything left to offer to these people. So for that reason, I will resign. Because I can't keep occupying this position that I can no longer add value to. How many of us would be courageous enough to say, I've been in this space for long enough, I've done my part, I think it's high time someone else comes, I need to move on because I've given it all. So that was not weakness, it was self-awareness and honesty. She was self-aware. Her leadership showed that honesty is not about confessing failure. It's about having the courage to tell the truth, even when it costs you something. The courage to admit and say, here's my truth. It's going to cost me X, Y, Z, but this is the truth. So what does it mean for you as a young person, as a young leader? You guys are 20s, early 20s, maybe if there's older guy, maybe late 20s and all. So you have a lot of life ahead of you. Some of you might reach up to 80. We just lost a very respected leader at his 80 years. And of course, if you do the mathematics, you realize you probably have how many more years left? 60-something years or 50-something years left. So you've not even started living this journey. So what does this conversation mean to you? Be honest when you don't know something. It builds credibility. Be honest. I remember once a friend of mine, someone, hey, Gabriel, get me someone. Gabriel, I need someone to come do some work for me. So I get this young lady, send them to my friend to go work. So the friend sends email, no response. Second email, no response. Third email, no response. And so this guy is like, hey, Gabriel, this guy you sent me, what's happening? So I called the lady like, hey, what's happening? Why can't you respond to your boss's emails? The young lady says she doesn't know how to respond to emails. But in her CV, what did she put in her CV? The things we put in her CV. We know those things we put on our CVs, isn't it? So she's hired on the basis that she can respond to email, communication expert can do. But at that time, she was busy on social media, but she doesn't know how to respond to emails. So basically, I asked her, what is the best thing to do if you don't know how to respond to emails? What do you do? What do you do when you don't know how to respond to emails? Go ask for help. I heard you whisper. Go ask for help. Just say, to be honest, I know you saw me with a smartphone and you think I can respond to things, but in my life, I have never responded to an email address. could you just help me so that I can know how best to respond to an email address? Which one would you respect? Someone who asks for help, or someone who pretends that they have it all figured out and they're not performing on what they're supposed to perform at? So be honest when you don't know something. It builds credibility. Be honest when you make a mistake. It builds trust. When you make a mistake, be honest. Be honest about your intentions. It builds authenticity. Be honest about your intention. And I say this, when I was dating my wife, I met my wife in 2009. She's from Uganda. So I met her around July. I think I'd been looking for a girl to marry at that point. I'd been like, God, the next girl I meet, I want this one that I can marry. So I traveled to Uganda. We're in this event, and I see this girl. I'm like, interesting. So I had a small chat with her. I didn't see her for 2 months. Then after 2 months, I was going back to Uganda. So I give her a call. Hey, I'm coming to Uganda. Are you in Kampala? She said, yeah, I'm in Kampala. So I come, I meet her. And then I was going to Makerere's University Business School. They call it MOOBS. So I was going to MOOBS to drop some laptop for some student we were sponsoring through some organization. So as I was going, I asked her, hey, can you take me to MOOBS? So we went all the way. It was some boda, a matatu, and then a long walk. It was evening. So we walked for long. So we went there, had fun with the student, left the things with the student, again, back. And as we were parting ways, in my mind, I was like, tick, 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 good girl, good girl, good girl, good girl, at least from my experience that day. So I told her, hey, I asked her, are you in this season of your life, are you in any relationship with anybody? And she told me no. Would you be open to consider a relationship with me? She didn't give me an answer then. But then I went ahead and say that I'm actually serious. For me, it's a relationship that is gonna lead to. So I was serious because, again, it's Uganda and Kenya. I was not going to waste my time coffee dates and all those things because it's the distance. So I was clear with my intentions to her. It took her 8 months to give me feedback, but we've been married for 14 years. So, so if your intentions, just be honest about your intentions, just clearly, and someone will know how authentic you are. They're like, hey, that guy, don't deal with them if you know you are not there. People will forgive your mistakes faster than they forgive your dishonesty. Do you agree with me? That people will forgive your mistakes faster than dishonesty. Accuracy may win admiration, but honesty earns loyalty, and loyalty lasts much longer than applause. I can be very accurate and people clap for me and all those things, but what I need is loyalty, and loyalty will last longer after the applause has gone. As I come to an end, a story of a young leader that I know. This young man was accused of mismanaging funds. He hadn't stolen anything though, but he had made poor financial decisions, and that happens. I've led an organization, and I know that it's very easy for someone leading an organization to make a poor financial decision, and that's possible. And that has happened to me. I've made some poor financial decisions as I've led this movement called Africa Youth Leadership Forum. So this young man thought of adjusting figures, the report, so that the numbers could look accurate, how those people expect them. So that thought crossed his mind. Maybe I should play with numbers. Maybe instead of 500, I write 5,000. Because this number needs to match what those people are expecting. Maybe instead of saying maybe the line was meals and accommodation, let me add meals, accommodation, and transport, and that. So it's one big line, and then I put this one lump sum figure on it so that it justifies it. It's a big figure. They will not question so much. Because that will be an accurate report. Because you've accounted for all the money you were given. But he chose honesty. And when he was asked, he admitted and said, I made a mistake. I wasn't careful enough. I take full responsibility. That moment didn't destroy him. It defined him. He was later given more responsibility because people trusted his integrity. That's the kind of leadership the world needs. As you leave this summit today, remember this. Accuracy makes you look smart, but honestly makes you a leader. Accuracy builds performance, but honesty builds trust, character, and legacy. Be the kind of a leader who can look in the mirror and say, I am not perfect, but I am true. Do you agree with me? I'm not perfect, but because the world doesn't just need more intelligent leaders. It needs honest ones, leaders who have the courage to be real, the humility to admit wrongs, and the strength to stand for the truth. Accuracy impresses people, but honesty honors God. Accuracy may win elections, but honesty wins hearts. Accuracy creates followers, but honesty builds disciples. When you stand before God, He won't ask you how accurate you are. I don't think God will ask you how accurate you are. He'll ask how faithful and truthful you are. So lead with honesty. Speak the truth even when it costs you. Be the kind of a leader who can boldly say, I'm